Good day to all our viewers. Welcome to the final session of our video series where we have travelled across Sri Lanka to understand the story of every fruit and vegetable that never comes to our plates. Over the past few episodes, we have travelled many journeys of various crops and vegetables from the hands of our hard-working farmers and market stalls and beyond. In that case, we have witnessed a significant problem. It is post-harvesting loss. It is silent, often invisible, incredibly costly, not only in terms of food waste, but also the time, opportunity and income. Today we bring this journey full circle. Before we begin our discussion, let's take a moment to look back at the diverse post-harvest journeys we have documented across this country. Thank you for joining us on that powerful recap. And it's clear the issue of post-harvest loss is both urgent and complex. To help us unpack the challenges and importantly the solutions, I am deeply honored to welcome Mrs. Chinta Rupasinghe, Senior Lecturer at the Department of Agricultural Engineering and Environmental Technology, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Ruhuna. Welcome, madam, and thank you for joining us.
Good day for all. Hello, Dari. Yes.
Hello, madam. In agricultural systems, we often hear about two types of crops, durables and perishables. Madam, could you please explain what is the difference between these durables and perishables and what are the characteristics and the influence their post-harvest management needs?
Yes, when we consider about the agricultural product, we can categorize it into mainly perishables and durables. Perishables means especially for fruits and vegetables. Durables may be grains, legumes, like those things. When we consider about the post-harvest management, according to their characteristics of the product, perishables are more vulnerable for post-harvest losses because those are soft. And even that we normally we know that just after harvest we can keep the product. That this means it's a shelf life. It's a very short in perishables. But durables, actually those are already matured when we get the harvest. Therefore, those can keep it for longer time without deterioration. But perishables, sometimes we are harvested very mature stage, some are medium mature stage, some are maybe pumpkin, something like that. We can get harvest at the late normal mature ripening stage. But these are the main the difference in between. Therefore, that perishables exposed to more environmental conditions, even the microorganism, biological attack. Because of that, those are more. We can observe many high level of perishables losses compared to durables.
Now, building on that, how do the post-harvest loss patterns differ between durables like grains and perishables like fruits and vegetables in Sri Lankan context, madam?
Yes, actually, when compared with these these two groups, even in graph you can see there are durables. Normally, almost we get the harvest at maturity stage. Therefore, it is normally post-harvest losses are lower value, around 15 to 20%. These diagrams given you a global context value, and even you can see the very high post-harvest losses can be observed in fruits and vegetables. That means we categorize as a perishables. It's around, in the world scenario, even 44%, in Sri Lankan scenario also, according to our studies, about 30 to 40%. And you can see fruits and vegetables also under the perishables. Therefore, it is also that it is in between actually. The roots and tubers we get harvested at maturity stage. Therefore, it's about 20%. Then likewise you can see oil seeds and pulses. It's a very low value, about 3%. Likewise, there is a big difference in between the values of post-harvest losses in perishables and durables.
Based on your experience and research, what are some most common causes of post-harvest losses in Sri Lanka, particularly in smallholder farming communities?
Yes, Udari, actually Sri Lanka don't have proper systematic approach to estimate the post-harvest losses. Actually, I am proud to say that from about 15 years ago, we starting the post-harvest loss estimation with the some selected different selected post-harvest chains. Actually, we are not in doing it like kind of not getting a representative sample from the all over the country, but some post-harvest chain we already observed, and along the chains we studied about what are the factors of that. Actually, our students, undergraduate students, are involving in that activities. Because of that, I think as institutes, University of Rune Academic Institute, we have some data. Even we can understand some real reasons for that post-harvest losses in both perishables and durables. Actually, both have different parameters in when we consider about these two groups.
To begin with the post-harvest losses of perishables, could you explain the concept of post-harvest chain for perishable losses, madam?
Yes, actually we have to first, before moving to the what are the factors affect on the losses, before that we have to understand what is the post-harvest chain. According to the term, the post-harvest means just after harvest, just at harvest, from harvest to up to consumer, what are the steps involved, right? In this the picture you can see from actually the product to product there are some changes, but as a generally we can see that is what is the main steps of harvesting. First we get the harvesting. Actually it's most important step in the post-harvest chain. Actually, this is the initial stage, and then after that we can do many operations, maybe pre-cooling, and also sometimes you have to do some kind of de-leafing, and also grading, sorting, like those things, sometimes bunching, packaging, cold storage, dispatch, marketing, and through the marketing we know that ultimate end is the consumer. All the stages in between harvest and the consumer level, these are we can consider as the post-harvest operations, right?
We would like to know your expertise opinion on affordable and farmer-friendly strategies on Sri Lankan context farming communities to reduce losses across each of those stages. Let me ask one by one. What are some effective practices tools that can minimize damage and quality loss during harvesting melon?
Yes, actually first step in the post-harvest chain is the harvesting, that stage, and in the actually our fruits can be categorized into mainly two categories, like climateric fruits and the non-climateric fruits. Even the climateric fruits, actually we know that just after harvesting, especially when we focus to the fruits, it emitting ethylene. Therefore, then we have to match, but for the non-climateric fruits, there are no such ripening natural agents. Therefore, the non-climateric fruits we have to harvest at the maturity stage. But non-climateric fruits we can harvest just before the maturity stage. That means then just before the maturity stage we have, it's especially that is maturity index, right? And it's even different crops, different fruits have different maturity indexes, different vegetable have different maturity indexes. Example like that, if we consider about the lady's fingers, something like that, we have to harvesting stage is tender shoots, kind of very tender stage, right? But there's some kind of tomato, something like that, we can consider the color of the skin of the fruits, right? In this diagram you can see, according to the study conducted by the USDA, and this is based on the color values, we can categorize it into different groups. Then in this picture you can see started with ripening stage from 1 to 6. You can see at 6 it's the mature stage. That means the skin, more than 90% of the skin of fruit is converted to red color. When we get the harvest at that level, we cannot keep it for longer time, very short time, its shelf life ended. But you can see if we can started it with 2-3 stages, it's around 10% or 30%, it's a color changes in the skin into red color, then we can keep it for some, we have enough time to it have a more shelf life duration. We can do other steps, other process along the post-harvest chain. Therefore, there are many techniques. Actually, farmers, we can aware the farmers when to harvest. That is based on the maturity index. Maybe most of our, I believe that our farmers may have that knowledge by experience. They learn from experience. Therefore, we can ask farmers to practice that one to understand a correct maturity stage. Then we can get the harvest at correct stage. Then we have enough time to do it. Even some product, even like the pumpkin, like those things, we are almost harvested at the matured stage. Therefore, it is a due, like when we get something like at the harvested stage, some product, it depend on the nature of the product. With some products we can keep it for longer time, right? Like example like pumpkins. Okay, it's therefore the properly practice, even the harvesting practice also very important. How to harvest? That means we have to use proper tools. Sometimes when we get the harvest, maybe at that level the product, fruits or vegetable can be get some mechanical damage. Therefore, we have to use some kind of sharp knives, right, to get the harvest, to remove it from the plant. and that techniques then we have to do it in very safe mode without damage, impact damage like mechanical shocks, like those things. Therefore, by minimizing those kind of things, we should practice that harvesting technique.
So just after harvesting, what is the next step, madam?
Yes, it's very important to actually, we know that when the plant is, the product is separated from the plant, there are no supply any. Otherwise, the product, the crop is in the plant, the water supply continuously, it can get the requirements, that respiration for oxygen and everything's are available. But when it is separated from the plant, it is started its own respiration rate, increase in respiration rate, their physiological reactions are very rapidly happens. Therefore, we have to control these physiological reaction. As a tropical country, we know that our temperature is around, especially in rural areas, around 25 to 30 degrees, right? Mostly around 30 degrees. Therefore, that is more favorable temperature for physiological reaction, even microorganism reaction, something like that. Therefore, we want to immediately control that physiological reaction rate. Otherwise, due to respiration rate, high respiration rate, the product its own deteriorations, right? Therefore, to avoid such situation, we want to control the temperature. It can be done with pre-cooling technique, following pre-cooling technique. You may think about cooling, the words means it's energy, very intensive. But according to our, the domestic level, we can control at farmer level, by practice, one thing, we can get the harvest at the morning session. It's kind of before 8, something like that. After 8, 9, we know that temperature increasing rapidly. Therefore, we can do the harvesting process before 8. But there is another problem that we have to think about. The product may be covered with mist, the small droplets. It may be also accelerate the deterioration. But anyhow, just when we disappear the mist from fruit surface, we can get the harvest in the morning. And just after harvest, we have to keep it covered. Maybe cajan's leaves, even the coconut leaves, or a kind of gunny bags we can use. Even we can make, even at rural level, we can make a small hut made with kind of wattles, and that means using mud and some kind of small kind of plant material. We can make some small hut and roof with cajan's. And it is a kind of evaporative cooling mechanism. We can introduce such type of structures in the rural areas without any expense. Therefore, just after the harvest, farmer can keep their products under those kind of huts. That means we have to farmer think about it should not expose to direct solar radiation. Otherwise, with the radiation, we know that the temperature involved with that, with the temperature, high respiration rate, actually started deterioration from that point. We can cut off that deterioration factors. Then as a first step, pre-cooling is very important.
So I believe next step should be grading and sorting. So what are your suggestions in that step, madam?
Yes, it's very important step just after harvesting. Actually, then just after harvesting, then according to the size of fruit, according to the damage of the fruits, we have to grade the fruit. Actually, according to the size, we can have a kind of different grade. And even according to, sometimes some fruit maybe get some damage during it is in the field, right? Some kind of insect damage, microorganism damage, something like that, bacterial infection, fungal infection, something like that. Even if we keep it all things, maybe sometimes the microorganism, something like that, it can be distributed among the other infectious with other the healthy product also. And even some ripening product, we know that naturally it emission ethylene. Actually that ethylene you know that it accelerates, it's a kind of hormone effect is there for the ripening. Therefore it is naturally start the ripening of the kind of other product also. The ripening means it's the natural aging. Therefore to cut off that one, immediately we want to do that grading and sorting, right? According to the size, we can do a small ones, medium size, big, large size, something like that. Even farmer can get a good price, right? For different size of the product. The larger product, maybe he can get a high price. and medium product medium like that. Therefore, it's other than sell it like as a whole together, he can have some kind of increase his profit margin. Even we can improve the shelf life of other product also if we can remove sometimes deformations one, infected one, like those things we have to separate and remove those things, and then we can keep the product without further deterioration. It's very important for practice this one. Just after the harvesting, then with pre-cooling period, we can do that process also.
Rough roads and poor packaging often cause damage en route. What transport practices or materials would you recommend to protect produce, madam?
Yes, actually, according to our conducted studies of the post-harvest chains, we observe that high losses observed during that transportation loss. Actually, actually, we are very worried about that, because farmer get the harvest with lots of energy, irrigation, agrochemicals, fertilizer, many things are there. But after getting the product, then along the chain, that the in transport stage, we observe a high amount of losses. Then actually the transport is normally conducted by the transport agents. It's a kind of businessmen. Maybe therefore what they expect, they want to earn lots of profit of this operation. Therefore they heavily loaded their trucks, right? Even without, if they loaded trucks with suitable structure, it's okay, but most of the time they are using gunny bags, right? Even there are no ventilation. Actually, they want to one time they want to have a high load. Because of that, they press, push, and that overloaded the trucks and transport it from the farmer to maybe for the market, right? Therefore, it is very important to concern on that. Even you can see some pictures in Dambulla market. This is huge loss of due to bags, right? Kind of gunny bags. Therefore, even the government want to introduce some kind of actually procedure to have a kind of proper the transport practice in Sri Lanka. And to alternative to the gunny bags, you can see this the crates, plastic crates. That plastic crates, you can see we can pack very nicely without damage. Even you can see there is the ventilated spaces are there surround the crates, right? Therefore, even those are we can stack together like even to full as a full truck even, but it is not damage. The upper tray is not impact on lower trays. Therefore, this kind of practice, if we can adapt, it is very important. The other way, even you know that when we consider about the rural level infrastructure conditions, even the very poor roads we observe, right? There are no proper there are no tar roads, maybe not the even surface, very uneven surface. Even most of the time farmers using the things transport from the field to their some collecting places using a two-wheel tractor. We know that nature of the power tiller, that is two-wheel tractor. They don't have any shock absorb kind of system, even they don't have, right? Therefore, though that such type of things conditions, even if we can use crates, then then we can minimize the damage. The other way, actually recent government, I can remember even some politicians already informed that we can use train, especially transport. Most of we know that most of our vegetables are coming from up country even, and also dry zone vegetables also there, but even dry zone or up country, that low country or up country vegetables and fruits, we can use a train, right? Without even, you know that train is run on the rails, therefore no kind of vibrations damage and the things. So therefore, if we can practice such way, we can minimize, I think, huge amount of losses can be controlled.
After the transport, the next step should be storage. What are your suggestions for affordable and decentralized storage techniques suited for our climate, madam?
Yes, actually when we consider about the storage, it's very important step in the post-harvest chain. But as a country, we are lack of technologies, we don't have enough power. Now even countries suffering from kind of power issues are there, electricity issues are there. Therefore, the best way to do it is the cold room, but we unable to suggest the farmers to have such type of facilities, because we know that it's very expensive. Even it's a real the energy we are facing in the energy, we are in the era of energy crisis even. Therefore, some kind of very small structures we can develop for the farmers. Even you can see in the picture the evaporative cooling system. Evaporative cooling system, just we can use only the water with kind of porous construction material. We don't use any kind of energy sources there. Just we can use the bucket of water. It's kind of we can keep it in somewhat high elevation, not much bigger elevation like a water tank, just for keep it in around about 5-10 feet, about 5-7 feet height. And then you can see in that picture we can provide some tubes for providing water through that tubes, and in between there are maybe bricks can be used, and the layer in between we can kind of fill it with some kind of absorbing material, water absorbing material. Example like this, we can use kind of sawdust, we can use kind of rice husk, we can use something like the kind of some agricultural residues, some kind of things, it can be absorb water like this. Then you can see the in between layer we can put kind of water absorbing material, and then we have to wetting that the material throughout the day, with that providing some water bucket somewhat little bit higher elevation. Therefore, then the material get wetting, and with the relative humidity difference, then the evaporative cooling system is there. Therefore, to absorb we know that to water absorption we want to have latent heat of energy, that water evaporating, and that latent heat of energy for vaporization absorbed by the surrounding. Therefore, the temperature of the surround is decreasing. We can keep the product for longer time. Even it's a kind of this type of structures we can use. Even we can build up, I already explained, like a small hut in the field. With that kind of structure we can build up the small hut to keep the product covered with the cajan leaves. And even the middle picture you can see it's a kind of structure like the pot we are saying, it's a kind of the clay pot we can use for such type of activities. 2 clay pots can be used. Even we conducted experiment with the undergraduate students to keep the product for longer time. Like these structures they can devise, right? They can build up by themselves. Even that type also you can see a kind of things make with the kind of bricks, right? You know that bricks are made with the clay, and those are have a kind of porous material. The water can be evaporated cross through, right? And even it can be covered with kind of gunny bags like this. The structures are actually the farmer can develop some kind of appropriate technologies to keep their product for some to extend their shelf life.
For large-scale operations and companies, what are the advanced technologies or innovations they could adopt to reduce these losses and improve the quality?
Yes, Udari, actually as a country, we always think about, our people think about, it's very hard to access the advanced technologies, but we should not think in that way. Even we can adapt to in the commercial level kind of cold room storage, right? Cold room structures we can develop. Even in that sense we think about, we are poor country, we don't have facility, we don't have money, we don't have capital, we don't have energy, something like that. But with the available resources we can adapt some cold race storage facilities. Even many times even if I have some opportunities to involving in kind of discussion with the government official, I always inform that we can have a kind of a cold room facilitated with the solar panels, right? In the roof of the cold room we can covered with the solar. Actually nowadays we are discuss about agrivoltaics. Likewise we can have a kind of photovoltaic application on the roof, right? Solar panels, and then we can get the current there, and we can use that current for cold facilitate even for the fruits and vegetables. No need to go minus degrees. Sometimes we can control around 10-15 at least. We can extend the shelf life of the fruits and vegetables in our context, because it's more lower temperature may be more benefited sometimes. But even you know that there is the freezing injuries also there, especially for perishables. If we go more than 0 degrees, even it is get damage the fruit tissues, that is tissues of the product. Therefore we can have to control around 8-10 degrees we can maintain, especially for even daytime. We can use it in the presence of solar radiation. We can generate electricity, even it can be kind of off grid, have without even battery. We can adapt to that technology for having cold room facilities. Here you can see this kind of technology we should adapt. In even there are some other advanced technologies with the cold room facilities. It's a kind of the modified atmosphere. The modified atmosphere means it's may not much advanced technology. We can just modify the atmospheric composition. Example like this: if you can seal the some environment with the product, with sometimes, if you know that oxygen and carbon dioxide concentration controlling, without device, just keep it some that we say it as a hermetic storage structures. That is without airtight storage structures. We keep the agriculture product for few days. It absorbs oxygen. That means the environment minimize the oxygen, and it do the respiration, the emission carbon dioxide. Then lowering oxygen and increasing carbon dioxide, it's a kind of modified atmospheric storage. Actually that was practiced in some in Polonnaruwa district earlier. It's a kind of for store the grains, rice, that paddy. We can do it something like that structure, right? It is maybe using our technology, appropriate technologies, we can have the modified atmospheric structures. Then there is another advantage technique is their control structured structures. That is control things. Atmospheric condition means we have to control. We know we have to, even you can see this diagram, we can provide some amount of carbon dioxide, we can remove some amount of oxygen. We know the values. This much of we give the the storage, and this much we remove the storage. We know that how to flow is moving across to the product. Like those things we can control, right? Therefore this is control atmospheric condition. Even sometimes we may think about it may more advanced technology, not access to us, something like that. But we can focus such technology for, if we focus to the export market. Because I believe as a country, a tropical country close to the equator, that we can have a high potential for having the export market on agriculture product. In that sense, for high-end product, we can have such type of storage structures, control atmospheric storage structures to keep the product. And with that, even some kind of control environment we can use with some kind of ethylene absorbents, the potassium permanganate like compounds. With that we can keep the product. Then we can control the ripening rates of the product, and even we can use kind of iron oxide like oxygen scavengers. We can minimize absorbance, oxygen absorbed by iron powder. Even it is maybe byproducts of iron industry doing something, we can have a iron powder, scraping of iron pieces, something like that we can use for as oxygen scavengers. Therefore, we can control oxygen content in the storage structures. Like this technique we can adapt to minimize the post-harvest losses, right?
In markets, produce often sits for hours or days. What measures can be introduced to reduce waste at this final but critical stage?
Yes, actually in the market, we can have a kind of proper management within the storage, and because we know that according to the ripening stage we can categorize it into different groups, and then that even in the market persons, they know that what is the daily the product he can process through the market channel to the consumer. Therefore, based on that, not bringing all the things to the outside, from the storage he can per day amount he can produce. Even he can get it like categorize it according to the grading. We know that which part is that rapid ripening, right? Likewise, we can have a kind of a small activity there. Based on that ripening stage, we can send properly to the market, right? In proper way. Even it's like the less ripening thing we can send market to the at last, right? Something like that we can manage. Even that is the way we can practice. Even in the market also, we have to advise the peoples there how to minimize the post-harvest losses at their levels, right? Even sometimes you can see product is exposed to solar radiation, sun, outside very high temperature. Even we can ask them to keep it in kind of the evaporative cooling structures, at least kind of gunny bags or something like that. Even we know that in the supermarket chain, it's very nicely they display the products, right? Even currently you know that it's a kind of leafy vegetables. They are using kind of mist blowers. It is automated already, not even throughout the day. It's with some time interval it is operating. Some kind of activities we can practice there. Even in the market level also, kind of modified atmospheric techniques we can apply to minimize their ripening process, right? If ripening means it's a kind of natural aging, we say it's a natural aging because the product is like us, right? Because with the time it is already deteriorated, aging. Therefore, to control that one, actually main reason for that is the respiration, and also through the product, the water evaporated is a kind of evapotranspiration process, and we have to minimize those things by control the surrounding, right? Even without high cost, we can do it by awareing people by practicing some small technique like those things.
Another challenge we have observed is seasonal surplus. What are your solutions for managing excess harvest effectively instead of letting them go to waste?
Yes, it's a very important thing. Even I had experience in some developed countries, because in documents we always think about supply chain management, but I don't know how it practice our farmers. Actually, if we can adapt to such technology, the supply chain management, because we know that what is the requirement, what is the people growing, farmers growing, and according to that we can balance that one. Even there are now many IT technologies are there, blockchain management, like those things, right? Even a small app can be developed for supply chain management. Even farmer can feed they know that what is the expected outcome, product harvest of their crop, and they can put it there. Even this end we know that what is the consumer requirement, something like that, right? If we can have a supply chain management process, actually we can minimize. But as a country, we know that we are kind of seasonal practice there. You already mentioned that seasonal glut is there. Therefore, we have Yala and Maha season, but therefore our product coming to the market based on that season, right? Therefore, that actually in that also I can say to increase the productivity of agricultural land, we can go with a kind of smart agriculture techniques. That means in the greenhouse, something like that. Throughout the year we can do the agriculture. If we can have that kind of control environment agriculture or smart farming, something like that. Using sensors, IoT technologies, we can very minimum cost, maybe capital may be higher, but operational cost may be lower. Without less amount of labor involvement, we can do a kind of agriculture production. In that sense, that we can control the supply chain, right? Even it is not, we don't need to depend further on the kind of our main two rainy season, right? But if there are some things, even we unable to ask all the farmers in Sri Lanka to adapt to smart technologies, kind of greenhouse, something like that. We can adapt the some kind of things. If there are some glad products coming to the market, we can have a processing, right? Agricultural process. It's a kind of value addition, right? We can, it's a very important, the kind of tomato, something like that, it's a glad product. We can observe maybe seasonally prices go very low. In other season, even there are no product is there, maybe away from the normal season, it is very high price. Therefore, to control that one, we can have that we have that large amount of product, then we can have a process. Even our people already adapted to using sauce, the kind of ketchups, kind of jam, like this kind of value addition we can do. Even with that, we can find kind of export market. Even in Nuwara, when you go to Nuwara, you can see there is the strawberry jam, right? Even in strawberry jam, we can see even strawberry fruits also inside sometimes. We in that mixture, in that kind of product. Even now we know that government also very interested to the tourism and agro-tourism, something like that. Even we can promote those things also. Therefore, we have a high market demand for foreigners to our local products. Then therefore, it is very important to that use it's kind of the processing industries, right? Based on drying, even the kind of cordial, jam, sauce, something like that we can go, especially from kind of some products. Even you know that, but some products, vegetables, unable to some prepared all the things used for jam or cordial, but we can have a dry product, right? Drying practice, right? If we have a proper drying practice of the seasonal product, then the off season we can have a high demand for that thing, right? Therefore, the product is available throughout the year. The consumer can use it, right? It's you know that as a nutritionally, fruits and vegetables also very important, because especially for the non-communicable disease, to away from the non-communicable disease, very important fruits and vegetables. Therefore, throughout the year they can get as they wish, right? And therefore, we have to adapt such kind of methods, right, to minimize the post-harvest losses.
Thank you for your valuable ideas, madam. Now let me move into the durables. Madam, what are the durables like grains and cereals in our country?
Yes, because our staple food is rice, right, paddy, and because it's a main, even we know that most of our land covered under paddy cultivations. And other than that, some legumes are even other than that, some maize like is next, because it's a use as for the, especially we are focused to the animal feeds. And other than that, some legumes are there, the cowpea, mung bean, those are there. Even some soybean also, some amounts, and also the ground nuts, those are kind of legumes crops. Actually what we use, even kurakang, something like that, those are actually grains. Those are also growing, but they were very little the land extent covered like those, but most of our area is covered with the paddy. But as a legumes, mostly our farmers use the cowpea and green grams, black grams, like those things. like that.
Let's talk about harvest index. Why is it critical to monitor maturity stages of grain like rice or maize before harvesting, and how does this influence post-harvest losses?
Yes, it's very important because we want to do the proper identify the proper harvesting stage, right? Even most of our country nowadays we practice the kind of mechanize our most of the agriculture operations, especially in the paddy cultivations. Therefore, harvesting also important mechanized activity. Then when we consider about the that harvesting operation, when to harvest is very important, right? In that we have to think about the maturity index, right? Even when we consider about the paddy, normally farmers said it's just around, when we look at the paddy field, the 80% of the grains becoming into golden color, that is the time for harvesting, right? But it is scientifically we can explain these harvesting things relating to the moisture content of the grains, right? Therefore, we know that normally it based on what our farmer practice. Even if it is manual harvesting operations or reapers means only we are using reaping, the cutting only, then but our farmers earlier practice just keep it in the field for one day, cut the paddy, keep it on field for 1-2 days just for drying, natural drying under sun, and after that they are collect the things and then threshing. But you know, nowadays due to these climate change issues, the farmers unable to, the rain is unexpected, we don't know when it comes, right? Even very shiny day, within 1-2 hours change everything and raining like that. Because of that, now farmers unable to practice this one. Therefore, normally what they are doing, normally they are keeping the product, if it is manual harvesting, in the paddy it's about less than around 18% of moisture content. Then we can do the harvesting in manual operation. But if you are using the combine harvester, then you know that combine harvester operations, the mechanical devices is contact with the paddy crop. Therefore, it is a kind of things, paddy crop is already matured. Therefore, it is ready to detach from the plant. If it is waiting for longer time until, that means more mature time, when we do the harvesting, there are heavy losses of shattering loss, right? It is real issue. Therefore, we want to maintain, we want to do the harvesting, mechanized harvesting operation, the rice, the paddy content around 20-25% moisture content. Then we can minimize that shattering loss. But issue is there, when get that high moisture content, it may very ready to deteriorate, right? Therefore, immediately that moisture content we need to reduce. Immediately we want to reduce around 18%, and then we have to keep it for longer time. We have to reduce it up to equilibrium moisture content. Equilibrium moisture content means it's based on our environment, temperature and relative humidity. Then according to our tropical environment, that means around 28 to 30 degrees centigrade with relative humidity around 70-72%. In that level, normally equilibrium moisture content is 13 to 14% in our environment, right? That means in low country. Therefore, farmer then from 18 to they want to immediately decrease the moisture content up to 14%. In that sense, you know that there are maybe, if we have a mechanized the harvesting operation, it may be incorporated with the drying practice also. For that, we can develop some kind of biomass dryers, kind of the LSU type dryers, renewable energy we can use for drying. Solar dryers we can adapt, kind of hybrid modes, solar with biomass, something like that. We need to adapt technology because we don't have time to keep it in the environment, natural environment for drying. If we are not properly immediately decrease the moisture content from 22% to 14%, there are many losses can be happens, right? Even some things, if you keep it high moisture, the paddy grains, it may be some temperature develop inside due to respiration of grains, and high temperature, some Maillard reaction happens. That means discoloration of grains. There are very less market value, right? The people doesn't like to get the discolored grain with their when we purchase price, right? Therefore, these are very important to consider. And even there are some maybe if there are some kind of microorganisms are there, they may grow and affect to that, even especially for mycotoxins. It's very important because that Aspergillus flavis, right? It's a carcinogenic fungus, maybe that it produces some aflatoxin. It's a carcinogenic. Even that during cooking, even it is not destroyed. It's real issue. Therefore, we have to maintain those things. Immediately we need to reduce the moisture content up to safe level, right? Like that is for other crops also, because the cow, pea, mung bean, those are not a big extent, just for some limited extents are there in the land area. Therefore, I think these are even the farmers can manage themselves. For our staple food, we have to do such practice. Then just after getting, if it is using combined harvester, no issue with many operations are combined together. The cutting, that means harvesting, cut the grains, or reaping, and then threshing, that means detachment of the grains from the straw, and then we have to separate chaff and straw particles from the remove from the grain mixture, and we have to get the clean grain, and we can store it in the gunny bag, something like that. Immediately get the harvest, we have to practice the drying practice. Yes, then after get the paddy, yes, you can see this diagram in how it happens in during the post-harvest chains of the grains in small scale production and the large scale production. You can see at harvesting, normally if we can practice proper way, about losses are comparatively low compared to vegetables, and even you can see threshing, even manual or machine threshings also, you can see its range is there 1 to 5%. Therefore, comparatively we can say it's low, but during sun drying you can see in the small scale huge loss compared to mechanical drying. That means we have to use some kind of devices, dryers, for drying, LSU type dryers, and some mechanical dryers are there. And for the storage, you can see in the small scale a huge, actually huge amount of losses are there, 5 to 10%. It's a real high value because it may be, that in our tropical climate there are many that weevils are there, there are many the insect damage there. Therefore, we have to control those things, and some fungus attack is there sometimes if you are not properly drying. Even if it properly drying, even we can control the insect damage also. And but you can see sealed storage conditions, proper storage conditions. We say it as a hermetic storage conditions. I already explained during earlier vegetables post-harvest chain management also, that it is automatically we can develop some kind of modified atmospheric conditions there, because we seal the environment, the grains absorb oxygen around it for respiration, and it release carbon dioxide, and then with the time we can see a high carbon dioxide concentration. It's already modified atmospheric condition. Therefore, you can see around very low losses are there, around 1 to 2%, and village milling around 20 to 30% loss. But you can see commercial milling, we have only 5 to 30%. That means 5 means maybe 5, but maybe some records are there with a little bit higher losses, right? Therefore, you can compare these milling losses at along the small scale and the large scale production of grains.
As the next step, milling is often done with basic or outdated equipments. What improvements or innovations could enhance both quality and yield?
Yes, actually it's very important process is the milling of our staple food paddy. Therefore, it is very, we had very much concern actually. That is true actually, it's a very outdated machines using even very earlier already, about 10-15 all machineries are used for in the milling sector in most of our rural areas. But you know that we have very high commercial in the milling industries are there. I doesn't like name with that, but we know that very famous some names are there. But they have all the sophisticated machineries for rice milling. But rural level, we have very the low scale mechanized machines for the rice milling. When we consider about the proper rice milling industry, we have to start with the from de-stoning, right? Because we know that our farmers, if it is combined harvester, there are very small amount of the other materials with the paddy, not mixed with kind of debris. But if it is a normal practice, most of the time we know that farmers using ground for doing threshing and the things, they drying it on grounds, and therefore there are many stone particles and other unnecessary things mixed with the paddy. Therefore the de-stoning is very important in the rice milling process as a first step. That means all the stone particles should be removed, otherwise high sophisticated machineries may be get damaged with this, the stone particles. After that we have to have a dehusking, removal of husk. Mostly we are using the rubber roll shellers for that, with minimizing the paddy grains, the rice grain. Therefore the main objective of the rice milling should be having a high head rice yield with less brokers, right? Therefore to achieve this target, rubber roll shellers are using. And in the rubber roll shellers, actually the within grain particles friction force is there to separate the husk. And then that in that we are not use some kind of we are using some the appropriate force there. Maybe in that process also some the mixture we can sometimes see with rice with the some paddy, unhusked paddy. Therefore there are some kind of again paddy separator to remove the paddy from this mixture. Therefore we want to separate rice from the paddy, and we can again send it to the dehusker to remove that husk from the paddy seeds. Therefore then after get the grains, the rice, then next step is we want to do some kind of removal of bran. That is, we are saying at a whitening and also polishing. A whitening means the bran layer we should remove, because bran layer contains some the kind of compounds named phytic, right? The phytic acids. Therefore it may react with a kind of zinc, like we know that our essential nutrients major and minor is there. Some zinc like those things are the essential nutrients, right? But we want to have a small amount but essential. But these are zinc react with the if there are more bran, maybe more phytic acids, therefore may react with that during cooking. Zinc phytate may be formed, those are not digestible, right? Non-digestible compound. Therefore though the compound, our paddy have a zinc, but it may be non-digestible form converted if there are more bran layer. Therefore bran layer should be removed around 60-70%, right? Normally we say bran about 25-30% is enough for the paddy, because you know that bran contain a huge amount of vitamins, right? Vitamin B especially. Therefore it is a nutritious, very important, but we have to remove some part, right? Therefore that is whitening. The polishing we can say, then even mist polishers, even their practice are there, we high-end techniques. Then in the mist polishers, even you can see sometimes market, you can see some shining rice, right? Therefore they are using some the mist polishers, the shining, the polishing with in the mist, presence of mist, and then we can see kind of pearl, right? Rice you can see the market, right? And after that we can have a get the product with kind of head rice with the brokens. Head rice means about we say it's normally, when we consider about the size of grain, about the grain sizes are more than larger than the 75% of its length, we can say it as a head rice. And then small parts you can see in this diagram very clearly, see those are brokens. And then we can have a separate this the brocans with the head rice, and even when you come to the market, we can have a grading system with head rice mixed with brocans, some amounts, and we can have some different categories, right, to have a kind of market available the rice products, right, and even therefore this diagram you can see there are many byproducts of this the rice milling industry. Rice husk is there, the bran layer is there, the brocans are there, right, especially because there are, we can say, the brocans also, larger brocans and smaller brocans are there. We have to remove totally smaller brocans, because otherwise it may be badly affect for during the cooking, right. Therefore we have to remove those things. Some large broken rice can be mixed with head rice, and we can send it to the market. It's proportionately we can mix. According to that we can decide the price of the product, final product, and therefore these are, you can see as a thing. Even the small brocans we can get kind of brewery industry we can use it, and even flour, rice flour production, those things we can use. Even bran can be used for to infant foods, because very rich nutritious product, bran layer, removal bran layer, and also we can use it for animal feeds. And also hull or rice husk, it can be used as a biomass energy. We can use it for by densifying and use it alternative to the fuel woods. We can use even nowadays there are new product we call as a geopolymers, because alternative to the cement, as a binding agent we can use a kind of silicate get from the rice husk, and it can be converted to the sodium silicate, something like that, as a binding agent. Therefore we can minimize, because we know that cement industries, the company, it made a huge contribution for the global warming, because huge amount of carbon dioxide emissions. To minimize those things, a kind of circular economy, we can use recycling these rice husk product into valuable products. Many things we can do with kind of these byproducts.
Let's talk about parboiling. Especially for rice, which is a staple in Sri Lanka, can you give us a small introduction about parboiling, madam?
Yes, actually it's some areas in Sri Lanka, actually the consumers very like to eat only parboiled rice, especially in low country areas. I think from western province onwards, the most of the people are like to consume parboiled rice, right. In parboiling there are many advantages. Parboiled rice, there are 3 steps are there mainly. First we want to soaking, then steaming, and then drying, right. Therefore during that process there are many advantages added to the rice, right. If there are, even you know that when we in the field there are some cracks can be happen, even during milling some cracks can be happens, that during threshing process, that is detach the grains from the rice straw, there are some the cracks can be happens, right. Those are not visible to our naked eye, because it's already covered with the husk, no. But with inside there are some cracks, maybe it is not separate, but cracks may be there. To recover that cracks also very important to that practice, right. That means when it is without parboiling, if we do this milling, this cracked rice paddy, definitely it may be coming into brokers. But if it is parboiled rice, this is recovered, because during soaking and steaming process, because during soaking the starch granule swelling, and steaming it is already structure fixed. Therefore if there are some cracks or something like that, those are recovered. Then the rice seeds get harder. Therefore we can have the less brokens with the parboiled rice. Even in similar way, the parboiled rice have a strength, high strength, right, in the granules. Therefore even insect unable to damage. Then we can observe there are very less insect damage there, right. And even when I already told you bran layer rich with nutrients, but we should remove bran layer, right. It rich with the vitamin B. You know that vitamin B is water soluble vitamin. During soaking process, these vitamins dissolve in the water and absorbed by the grain kernel. Therefore, it is enriched with the vitamins, right? Therefore, it is also benefit of the parboiling, right? And parboiling, steaming and these things. But this is are the advantages of parboiled rice. But when we consider about the operation, it may be a kind of, we can say it's a kind of some challenges are there. I unable to say disadvantage, but those are challenges. Example like this, I already told you to keep the paddy, we have to reduce the moisture content up to 14%. But soaking process, we increase it up to 30% back. Again, 14 increase to 30%, need to dry. After steaming operation, need to dry it back to 14%. It's a kind of energy. When we consider about the drying process, we want to have energy. That energy level, we can think about it, we need to have more energy, right? We are in crisis of energy, therefore it may be, sometimes it's a kind of challenge, right? Even actually this 14% we want to immediately reduce it, 30% immediate reduce the 14% because there are challenge issue for the aflatoxin development by the Aspergillus flavus fungus, right? Those are the kind of the challenges of this parboiled rice. Compared to challenges, there are many opportunities and advantages. Okay?
So, madam, based on all that we have discussed today, do you believe that Sri Lankan has the potential to significantly reduce these post-harvest losses?
Of course, especially perishables, I already informed some appropriate technologies. Appropriate technologies which are suitable for our context, right? We have to think about global and we have to think about what are the technologies we have to adapt. Then farmers, if we can, they can adapt to these technologies, definitely we can minimize the post-harvest losses of perishables and also durables. Even just as a country, especially for our staple food rice grains, we like to introduce, if we can, the mechanized using combine harvesters and also kind of advanced milling technologies. With those things, we can minimize these post-harvest losses.
And finally, what would be your message to farmers, students and entrepreneurs watching today? What role can each of them play in turning post-harvest loss into post-harvest value?
Yes, actually farmers, what are the other
students,
stakeholders?
And policymakers, entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs. So farmers, actually, they are very important stakeholders in this the post-harvest technology. Therefore, actually, without farmer, no any post-harvest. Actually we have to accommodate farmers. We have to awareness, doing some demonstrations, awareness, using our agriculture department. There are many that agriculture officers are there. Then we have to, earlier we have a training and visiting system, demonstration activities, like those things. We have to again start such type of activities. For the student, even all the agriculture faculties, I believe that we offer this post-harvest technology course, right, to minimize the post-harvest losses. But unfortunately, still 40%. When I was student, I learned about it's a 40% fruits and vegetables. Still, it's a 40%. I don't know. It's a kind of, we have to think about what is the role of academia, right? Even because we produce graduates, they are involving in agriculture sector. Actually, they even have to get more concern on these things, because you know that when product is coming to our hand, huge amount of, if we consider about life cycle assessment or something like that, huge amount of energy is there, huge amount of emissions contribute that, huge amount of energy, right? Like this, therefore, we have to think about those things. To minimize post-harvest losses, therefore we can get that advantages, right? And the other one, the policymakers. Yes. Actually, we in the country, as a country, we want to have establish some kind of rules and regulations. We have to to kind of the process. We want to fine them if they are destroy some, if they not adhere to some kind of regulations, right? Therefore, that kind of plastic crates, even about 10 years, 15 years ago, government wants to introduce plastic crates, but transport agents act against to that act. Therefore, due to political reasons or something like that, that they back to gunny bags, something like that. Therefore, we can address some, ask them to, you should, without plastic crates, you should unable to transport the product, something like that. Kind of policy decisions that now government want to get, even using the trains for transport the product. It is also very good option, because our country, we have a very good network of the train tracks. Therefore, we can adapt to that technology also, and also entrepreneurs. No, for entrepreneurs, I think value addition is very important. Most of the time, as a country, we produce the product, right? Other countries get it back, and even they produce value addition and return to us sometimes. Therefore, value addition is very important. Then industries develop, companies develop. There are many employment opportunities to our people, and also we can have a export market. We can send it to the other countries with Sri Lankan brand. Therefore, these things are very important. If we can adapt to such technology, even government need to provide some kind of support to adapt to such technologies.
Mrs. Chinta Rupasinghe, thank you so much for this insightful and inspiring conversation. Your expertise has truly helped us understand the solution for the post-harvesting losses.
Yes, thank you, Idari, for your comments. And actually, we can talk in this topic for many times, but many hours. But this is, I even believe that it is a great opportunity to reach to our agriculture sector in Sri Lanka to minimize post-harvest losses. Actually, I believe it's the Faculty of Department of Agriculture, Engineering and Environmental Technology, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Ruhuna. They start a great initiative this for betterment of the agriculture in Sri Lanka, because as an agriculture country, we can do, we can develop, we can be a developed country through the agriculture. That's my belief, because we don't have any fossil fuel or any kind of minerals available here. Therefore, then this is the way, what can we do for agriculture, right? Thank you very much, Udari, for your lovely presentation with me, with this lively communication with me.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you for being part of this journey. Together, let's rethink how we harvest, handle, and honor the food that feeds our nation. Stay tuned and take action. See you next time. Thank you.